You notice it before anyone says it. Bus windows frosting from the inside by noon, a school text. Late start, again. The grocery stacking bread by a humming radiator. Pipes ticking in the walls even when the thermostat's honest. Forecasts stop promising a warm-up and start posting review again Friday. Then the evening news puts numbers to the feeling. Ocean heat transport sagging. Jet streams slouched south. Sunlight shaved thin after ash-heavy winters, and a geoengineering taper that stumbled. Welcome. This is what would happen if Earth entered a new ice age. Farmers are the first to say it out loud. Sprout dates slide. Soil wakes late and closes early. A year's planning shaved by weeks you don't get back. Insurance calls it variability. Harvesters call it loss. Diesel drums crowd barns next to rolls of plastic for windbreaks and low tunnels that stretch like white ribs across fields that used to be open. The seed sellers stop pitching heat tolerance and start moving short-season cold hardy to the top of the sheet, with a tone that sounds like apology and math in equal parts. Cities learn the shape of cold as policy, not weather. Schools adjust calendars around deep freeze stretches. Utility dashboards add thermal reserve next to peaker status. The old summer peaks energy model flips. Nights pull more watts than afternoons. Apartments improvise. Draft snakes return. Windows get clear film. Door sweeps multiply. Landlords who bragged about views now brag about R values. Everyone finds out how much glass is too much glass. Airlines stop explaining delays. Routes get redrawn to dodge persistent stratospheric haze and unfamiliar jet streams. Airports learn to be small cities that sleep inside snow. De-ice crews become the new air traffic control. Some regional fields close for seasonal suspension and never open again. Rail remembers its old dignity. Steel shrugs its snow better than wings and roads do, especially when freight moves with the patience of tonnage. Ocean maps rewind a century. Sea lanes that were flirting with ice-free summers grow a crust that resists even the best hulls. Northern ports buy bigger plows and longer patience. Docks add cranes that swing under heated tents because hands go clumsy at temperatures where steel rings like glass. Fishing fleets die in the mouth and live in the gut. Southern grounds bloom while northern waters go quiet under pans of hard water that drift farther south than any living captain has seen. The first winter that doesn't end is polite about it. It's a degree or two and a month or two and a line of frost on a map that refuses to budge. The second winter is not polite. It is policy. Governments stop borrowing phrases like polar vortex from television and start publishing migration advisories in monochrome fonts with numbers that stick. Roads buckle under frost heave, water mains split. Fiber conduits fill and refreeze like capillaries. The budget for salt becomes a national line item. Plow operators and line workers join surgeons as people you do not argue with. Food reorganizes. Bread wheat inches south a country at a time. Corn abandons latitudes that once were safe bets. Soy hesitates, then follows. The new kings are barley, rye, potatoes, brassicas, pulses you can plant early and pull fast. Hothouse glass spreads. LED grow barns lease old warehouses. Heat from data centers grows basil and keeps citrus alive in cities that were never meant to smell like oranges in February. Meat shifts with pasture. Animals that pay their own heat bills with fur and fat come back into fashion. Aquaculture inches toward the equator, where water remembers how to act like water. Homes retrofit in ways that look humble and save lives. Insulation crawls into walls that never had it. Attics seal. Weatherization crews become rock stars with calendars booked to spring of a year that keeps moving. Heat pump stops being a niche phrase. Cold climate models move in by the pallet. District heating pipes cut under avenues in cities that thought that technology belonged to Scandinavia. Wood stoves make a small and badly timed comeback until policy remembers the air and nudges hard toward pellets, heat storage, and electrons, from wind that howls on time. Basements earn their keep again. Storage, workshops, the new herb patch under full spectrum bars set to June. The first blackout everyone remembers has a name. It arrives with a high and a hush, ice on lines, wind that bites instead of sings, a load curve that never dips. People who never saved a candle by lanterns. Neighborhood batteries earn headlines because nothing happens on blocks that paid for boring. Lobbies open for warming with signs that read, 2 hours on, 1 off. The city learns to rotate comfort with dignity. The news anchors stop standing outside in parkas like the cold is a dare. They sit inside and explain watt budgets like grown-ups. Geopolitics dials back to basics. Grain becomes leverage, gas becomes weather. Rare earths drop in the stack. The top of the list is calories and joules. A canal choked with fragile ice moves elections in countries that never learned the word. Alliances recenter on shared grids and black start strategies. A line worker exchange program is more valuable than a fighter squadron. Satellites talk more about snow albedo than troop movements, because reflectivity starts to rule the decade. Space agencies become weather agencies with rockets. Not every region loses. Some get lucky with geography and wind. Some find that their old grid, built for cold grandparents under wool and blackout curtains, was smarter than new glass, overbuilt, underloved, ready to carry a city paying attention. Some coast through because they put wires underground and treated trees near lines like the hazards and friends they are. A few places become magnets for competence. Maps with circles around towns whose power stays polite in February and whose greenhouses never empty. People move one family at a time, then one company at a time, then all at once because the job listings quietly shifted zip codes. There are hustlers and saviors, and some are the same on different days. You'll meet a shipping broker who saw ice coming and pivoted to rail a year early and will never pay for coffee again. You'll meet a metallurgist whose tweak to a rail alloy saves a continent in a winter that never ends. You'll meet a woman who runs a school boiler room and teaches 8th graders how to pack a valve against freeze with towels, a hairdryer, and the kind of calm voice that should run countries. Culture follows power. Fashion thickens without shame. Soundtracks shift from windows down to wool up. Cold changes music. People sing in kitchens again because kitchens are warm. Restaurants that can live in winter do. Stews, breads, things that live on the stove. The things you grow under light are herbs and hope. A winter holiday that used to be lit for cheer becomes a festival of competence. Neighborhoods walk their circuits, swap spare filters, label their extension cords in the good tape, make soup for the people who climb poles. You learn to buy different. Boots are no longer an accessory. Coats that laughed at a decade of winters start to earn their price. You trade a car that brags about summer for one with clearance and steel that respects salt. You buy a small shovel that fits under the back seat and mean it. Your pantry moves a notch from just in time to just in case, and no one calls it prepping anymore. It's Tuesday. Software grows up. Weather models retreat from clickbait into scheduled, sober alerts with confidence intervals people learn to read. Calendar apps get real. Flag your patch windows, note your thaw days, schedule your gutters. Logistics dashboards stop being tech theater and become civic tools. Anyone can see the plow routes, the work orders, the substations with frost problems, the greenhouses that need a hand. Cheap lies about weather die in comments that learned numbers. Geoengineering exits keynote slides and enters a discipline that sounds like aviation. Checklists, simulators, go, no-go criteria that answer to a room of people with the authority to say, stop. We learned that once already. If you dim the sky, you land the plane sober. If you overshoot, you admit it fast, and in public, and with graphs. We stop asking engineers to save us with a flourish, and start asking them to debug. The sea answers last, and then it answers every day. Levels pause, then edge back from the doorstep like a tide that never figured out the word reseed. New beaches appear where maps expected blue. They are cold and wind-scoured, and full of questions about who owns what when the water changes its mind. Port cities grow outposts at river mouths farther from ice. Fishermen who learned the new calendar earn more in 3 months than they did in a year. Others sell their boats, move inland, and run the boilers that keep lettuce alive under glass in February. What breaks is the idea that comfort is default. What survives is the skill of treating a resource like a gift that comes on time because you show it respect. The status symbol changes. It isn't a holiday on a beach you can't reach anymore. It's a thermostat that reads steady, a pantry with the right things, and a block list where the names are people who trade spare parts before they trade opinions. Who gets hit first are the edges. Brittle grids, debt-loaded farms, glass towers that laughed at insulation, cities that privatized competence and discovered contracts do not climb poles in sleet. Who gets ahead are the boring. Districts with district heat, counties that trained plow drivers and paid them like pilots, school boards that bought boots before billboards, families that can live off a grocery trip slipping a week at a time without their shoulders going high. You'll see small errors bought dearly and small fixes bought cheap. A warehouse learns that doors eat heat and puts in air curtains. A bus line accepts that schedules in winter are art and hires dispatchers who treat drivers like people, not dots. A clinic moves the vaccine fridge a meter away from an exterior wall and keeps 1,000 appointments. A neighborhood buys a shared snowblower and schedules it like a library book. Tiny things, all of them large. We get used to maps with thicker lines. We get used to a kitchen that stays busy. We get used to phone trees that are short and effective. We get used to caring for gutters and slopes and drains because water, when it moves and when it stalls, is now a language you speak. The future doesn't stop. It wears a coat. It carries a list. It knocks on a neighbor's door with a thermos and a joke and a spare set of gloves. You were promised apocalypse or miracle. You got responsibility. That's better. Turn the thermostat down a notch and seal the leaks. Plant what finishes early and stores well. Spend boring on your roof. Buy the boots. Label the cords. Put the batteries where you can find them in the dark. Read the weather like it matters because it does again. Teach a kid to pack a pipe, chop an onion, read a wind, and write their name on a shovel that they will hand, smiling, to the next pair of hands.